Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening, everybody at home. Good evening, everyone here. So we are gathered once more for our Wednesday studies at the Allan Kardec Spiritist Group of New Zealand. We are gathered here in Auckland in the Jubilee Building in Parnell. So if you're watching from home, welcome and feel free to join us if you're in Auckland for next week or the following weeks. Um, we are always happy to have some new people joining and old people too. We enjoy seeing the same faces being together here again. So today we're gonna start by reminding everyone about the lectures we are gonna have in the next few weeks. Next couple, no, not next week, the following one. So in the end of the month, every last Wednesday of the month, we usually have a lecture. And this month, the lecture is gonna be in Portuguese. So every other month, the lecture is in Portuguese. So this month, we have, and next month, we have a very special guest. So Zé Araújo, he's visiting us from Brazil in the end of August, and he offered to do a few lectures for us and a few seminars. So he is a lecturer in his in Brazil, and has been studying Spiritism for quite a few years, and has some interesting topics that he gave us to choose from, and we chose. And here we are debating how to translate that in English. The first lecture in the end of this month, it's gonna be about what did we decide on the word? The needs of the soul, or it might be the homes of the soul. Who knows? What state is? I don't know. You can translate the way you prefer. We will know in the end of this month the mystery, what it's actually about. And in the early September, we're gonna have another lecture about transmigration between words and our these encounters. So the two lectures will be here at the Jubilee Building in Parnell, our usual time from 7 o'clock. And you don't have to sign up for that. You can just come to watch from here. Or we are gonna also, as usual, have that online too, if you can't make it to the building or if you wanna watch later on. So all of our lectures are available here on Facebook, on Instagram, and we also have them saved afterwards on our YouTube channel. And our previous lectures in Portuguese, we also have subtitle in English if you don't speak Portuguese. Majority of them, thanks to Mani, are subtitled in English too. Good. So sorry, and what I was going to say is that the lecture early next month, it means that instead of the end of the month, we're going to have our lecture in the beginning of the month for September. So we are going to start by reading our page of the Living Spring, and then after that we're going to do our initial prayer. If you were at home and you want to put some water to get magnetized, feel free to do so now. We have some water here in the room with us that we're going to drink in the end. And in the end, also, we usually do our spiritual treatment. So today, are we ready to do an individual? Yeah? No, not yet. So we're going to do the collective treatment here today. And if you're at home and you want to put some water aside and vibrate with us, for sure we all collect the benefits from that. So, Living Spring, number 27, Destruction and Misery. Destruction and misery mark their ways. Paul. Romans 3:16. When disciples fail to trust in the Master and avoid acting according to the examples that His divine ministry bequeathed to us, preferring the broad pathway of infidelity to their own conscience. They dig deep abysses of destruction and misery wherever they go without even noticing. If their mind is crystallized in idleness, they destroy the goodwill in the hearts of the other workers around them, and they restrain their own opportunities to serve. If they go down the road of negativity, they destroy the tender hopes in the sentiments of those who are just starting out in the faith, and they weave a vast net of darkness for themselves. If they transfer their soul to the dark residence of vice, they smother their traveling companions' nascent virtues, and they acquire heavy debts to be paid in the future. If they give safe harbor to despair, they quench the tenuous light of trust within the soul of their neighbor, and they weep in vain under the storm of destructive tears. If they seek refuge in the cold house of depression, they asphyxiate the optimism of those who accompany them, and they waste the wealth of time in fruitless complaining. The divine advice for the follower of the gospel is to press on, helping, understanding, and serving everybody. Being inactive is to immobilize others and freeze oneself. Being rebellious is to weep one's brothers and sisters and to hurt oneself. To avoid the good is to misguide others and nullify oneself. Unfortunate are those who do not follow the Master once they have found him, because they know Jesus Christ in spirit, and yet, far from him, is to spread destruction all around us and to retain misery within us. A lot of problems. So we're going to prepare for our initial prayer now. Dear God, our Father, we're gathered here today in your name, as usual, trying our best to be present, to open our hearts for the knowledge we are about to share, that we may be open to receive it and internalize it. We ask that you bless those who couldn't be here today, those who are on their way to watch the study from home or on the way to reach here, incarnated or disincarnated, that they may reach safely, that those who will not come receive also the blessings that we are here vibrating towards. We thank you for the opportunity of being here together. We thank you, Friendly Spirituality, mentors of this group, our mentors. We thank you for your presence, for your guidance. We hope that we are worthy and open to your guidance, to your words, to letting our intuition guide us, not only today on the course of this study group, but also on the course of our week, on the course of our lives. We thank you, Jesus, our brother, for your kind words that you have taught us so many years ago, that for us, here incarnated, feels like a long time, feels like an immense legacy that happened so long ago, but that also feels so hard, so far away from us reaching it and understanding and living the meaning of those few words. We ask that you bless the study of tonight, that we may all enjoy, incarnated or disincarnated, take advantage of this vibration, of this feeling, this energy, and of the knowledge. Thank you. And so, good. So we are going to start with our with the gospel, and we are in chapter 27. Ask and you shall receive. And last week, we were talking about prayers for the dead and for suffering spirits. Does anyone that was here next week want to tell us what we talked about last week?
You can talk about it.
Thank you. No pressure.
No pressure. We talk about how some people believe prayers for those who have passed are not useful. We talk about the comparison of imagine someone just got terminal disease, and in comparison with that, we should stop visiting that person because the person is going to die. It's nothing we can do about it. Or someone, how we should not refuse any help for anyone, no matter what condition they are, due to the fact that we don't see what's going to happen in the future or moving forward. We shall never retrieve ourselves from offering a glass of water for those who are thirsty, no matter what destiny they have. Another comparison was also someone who was imprisoned for life as a lifetime sentence, and how following that way of thinking, how we should never go and visit that person anymore because they're always going to be in prison. And so, yeah, we talk about the importance of prayer for those who pass, because as we feel right now, we always like when someone think about us, when someone spontaneously send you a message saying they reminded of you, or how that motivated us and how that makes us happy. For those who have passed, thinking about them, sending them good vibration, good energy can motivate them, can help them to carry on the other side, whatever circumstance they may encounter themselves with. And yeah, it was a general idea.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? No? It's a good summer. So we're going to carry on reading now about. So usually the chapters are separated between Kardec's explanations and the Spirit's teachings is usually him summing up what the chapter was about and explaining in a little bit more detail. So very teacher-like. That's how he usually finishes the chapters. So we're gonna read now on how to pray. Does anyone want to volunteer to read?
I can read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
Spirit's teachings, how to pray. Item 22. The first duty of all individuals, the first act that should signal they return to active life each day is prayer. Nearly all of you pray, but how few of you know how to pray. Of what importance is the Lord are the sentence you mechanically say one after the other out of habit, because it is a duty to fulfill. And like every duty, waits on you. The prayers of Christians, of Spiritists, of whatever belief, should be made the moment the Spirit retakes the yoke of the flesh. They should lift themselves to the feet of the divine majesty with humility, with profundity, in a rapture of gratitude for all the benefits that have been granted up until this very day, and also for the night that has passed and during which you have been allowed, although you do not remember it, to the with your friends and your guides in order to acquire more strength and perseverance from their contact. Your prayers should humbly ascend to the feet of the Lord to commend your weakness to Him, to ask for His support, indulgence, and mercy. They should be profound because it is your soul that should ascend to the Creator, that should be transfigured like Jesus on Mount Tabor, and become white and radiant with hope and love. Your prayer should entail a request for the blessings you need, but the need must be real. Thus, it would be useless to ask the Lord to shorten your trials, to give you joy and wealth. Instead, asking Him to grant you the more precious possessions of patience, resignation, and faith. Do not say, as many of you do, it's no use praying, since God does not answer me anyway. What do you ask God most of the time? Do you often think to ask Him for your morals improvement? Oh no, not very often at all. Instead, you think of asking Him for success in your earthly undertakings, and then you exclaim, God is not concerned about us. If He were, there would not be so much injustice. How foolish, how ungrateful. If you were to delve into the deeps of your conscience, you will nearly always find within to the starting point for all the ills you complain about it. So, before anything else, ask for your betterment, and you will see what a torrent of blessings and consolations power over you. You must pray without ceasing, but without having to go to a church or kneeling in the public squares. Daily prayer is the fulfillment of your duties, of all your duties without exception, of whatever nature they might be. It is not an act of love for the Lord for you to assist your brothers and sisters in any moral or physical need. It is not an act of appreciation to lift up your thoughts to Him when a joy comes on your way, when an accident is averted, or even when a difficult only grazes you minimally by saying in your mind, blessed are you, my Father. It is not an act of contrition to humble yourself before the Supreme Judge when you feel you have failed, even if only by means of a fleeting thought, by saying to Him, forgive me, my God, for I have sinned, out of pride, selfishness, or a lack of charity. Give me the strength not to fail again and the courage to make reparation. This is besides the usual prayer of the morning and evening and the holy days. But as you can see, a prayer can be offered at any instant without causing any interruption in your labors. On the contrary, say this way, it sanctifies your activities. You can be certain that just one such a thought arising from the heart is heard more by your Heavenly Father than the long prayers said out of habit, frequently without any determined motive, and to which the conventional time of the day is mechanically calling you. The Bonnet, Bordeaux, something, 1862.
Do you want to start counting, or do you need to take a breather?
Have a break.
Yeah.
So like you say, this is a summary of what we have been talking about so far, and it talks about how you pray. So it makes us remember a little bit of the previous chapters, where a prayer does not need this amazing, well-worked text or words. It can just be spontaneous, can be from your heart, can be done you alone in the room, just with you and God. So it does not need to be in front of everyone, does not need to be a beautiful, mechanically pre-organized prayer. It can be anything. You can literally close your eyes and just talk, just like we did in the beginning of the studies today. And it's really important for you to know what you're asking at, because that obviously will have an impact of what you're actually receiving it. And over there it talks about how foolish some people are when they ask for divine intervention and miracles. Please make my house green. It's not going to happen. So it's not really how it works. So instead you ask for something to happen for you. Why don't you ask for strength so you can go and do it yourself? You don't go and pray for a fish to appear on your table or food. Go pray so you have willpower, so you have strength, so you have motivation to wake up the next day and go to work and actually work and earn your money and be rewarded for the work you actually did. So it's really interesting when you think about prayer, and usually the people who actually don't believe and say, what is the point praying if God's not going to do what I want? Yeah, He's not going to do what you want. He's going to do what you need, which is very different than what you want. Because the majority of the time, we don't really know what we want. That's why we want. Because if we understood what we want, then we find a way to work on it. Just like we always spoke, if you wake up every day and you ask for patience, I need to be more patient. I'm a very stressful person, South American blood. Well, he's gonna put a lot of stressed people around you. Why is that? To make me more stressed? No, so you can practice. You're not gonna ask God, oh, I need to be more relaxed, more calm, and He's gonna send you to a Buddhist temple to be by yourself. No, you're not practicing anything. You're hiding. So those people will be around you, so you can practice indulgency. So you can practice. I think it says indulgency, charity, and something else. Yeah, somewhere in there. So that's basically what it is. Cool. Any comments? No.
Okay.
So just continuing what Tobin was saying, I'm just going to add, I'm not going to repeat everything because you said a lot.
Oh, sorry.
I was counting on he said that, he said that, he said that. Okay, it's just one now.
Yeah, my turn today.
So it's really important. Yeah, in the end here, it's saying about like when we should pray, and it's saying every time. And the ideal is that because when we are praying, we are elevating our thoughts, our vibration, and connecting with God and the good spirits. So if we can keep on that connection, we'll be living a better life. We'll be ready for anything that can happen with us, and then we are going to receive support from those spirits. So if you have something that needs to happen with us that's not going to be something good, we at least will have support with that whole those good spirits around us. So that's really important. And saying here that even during our labor, so if we're working and we can think about, oh, let's stop 1 second, I can just elevate my thought, think about God, thank God about for this day, for the opportunity to work. That's it. It's going to become a really better day. It's going to become a better day just because of you have that small prayer that can take like 1, 2, 3 seconds. So it doesn't need to be like Tokyo was saying, like longer prayers. You can all the time that you remember, oh, I can do a prayer now, can do it, and just elevating a thought. You don't even need to think words itself. Just the thought, it counts, and it's going to help you in anything that you're doing.
I think it's quite interesting that it starts. So the beginning of this point talks about how to pray, right? And then it's right in the middle. It talks about chapter 5, number 4, because it's is talking about how sometimes life might feel unfair and feels that if you feel that God doesn't care about what we're doing or doesn't care about us, it's clearly because we still haven't understood how the universe works, how everything that we do has a reaction to it, and understanding that and then in chapter 5, part 4, talks about causes of afflictions. So then it's when we talked right early, because we're now chapter 27, right? So 22 chapters ago, a long time, we talked about why things happen, why they happen the way they happen, why do we suffer, and we all know it's because of evolution. It's because something that we planted and we now for sure are collecting, so we are harvesting. So when you know and understand that and believe in that and remember that, actually have faith in God, and that this is how it works and there is a reason for it, your way of praying changes, because you're not going to be praying, like he says, for material things and hoping that blessings will pour from the skies and bathe you, and life is going to be, suddenly it's going to be great. We know it's not going to be perfect. We know it's not going to be amazing because we deserve it. Because I am a great person, only great things will happen to me. This is not how it works. It's we work to be ready for whatever it comes, and whatever happens, we know that God will be there, that God is always fair, is always good, is always knows about everything that happens. So the more we exercise this thought, the less we have the need to pray. Like we understand praying, right? That is taking a moment, and it talks about kneeling, having a ritual. The more we leave the act of praying, which is like Andrea said, talking to God, actually being connected, elevating our thoughts, and stop to pay attention to that vibration, and filtering the way we think, the more we exercise that, the less we need to stop what we're doing to actually do it. Um, Last week, on the week before, on the children and youth study group, we were trying to explain to them what is God, and we were talking about praying, and we always, when we explain to kids, we say, oh, it's talking to God, right? So if it is just talking, why do we need to have certain moments and a certain way of doing it? If it is just talking, it means that we could do it all the time, right? And they were trying to explain back to me, like, oh, when do you talk to God? Do you talk to God? And majority of them were talking about how they talk to God a lot of the time during the day. So when do we lose that habit? When does become something so foreign to us that we don't have time anymore? That we actually have to separate time in our day to be able to talk to God. And then obviously for them it's too abstract to talk about it, but I do feel that for me it's mainly no words and more about a feeling. So in the course of my day, I do feel I try and talk or pray several times a day, more than like by night when I know I'm gonna fall asleep and nothing's gonna happen. So that trying to maintain that feeling of gratitude, of being grateful for something that is happening, or that just happened, or that didn't happen, or thanking the universe, God, a higher power, whatever we want to call, for having the strength to go through certain things, or how something in your day actually went really well, remembering that it's not really all credit to us, even though we make a difference in our own lives, and we have the willpower to move towards the direction we want to go. Remembering that we have a lot of help around us, from the friendly spirituality, from God, from spirits. That is lots of people rooting for us, hoping for the best, trying to guide us towards the best. And a lot of the time we go the other way. So when we do go towards something that we feel is special, that we remember taking the moment to treasure and be thankful for. And I feel that's when we're actually praying, when we get used to celebrating those small victories, or appreciating exactly, being grateful, right? So appreciating the challenges, and not just overcoming, but actually being able to go through them. Anyone else?
On the chapter 5 that you mentioned, the items, I think it's 3, 4, 5, they talk about the cause of affliction basically being one that's not on your control and one that's on your control. The out of your control will be the trials and expiations that we're here to do it. So things that's supposed to happen with us so we can learn, things that it's on our accounts from previous lives, or from this one that we have planned to be here. So you don't pray for God so things don't happen in your life. You pray so you have power to understand, so you have patience, so you have willpower to go forward. And the another afflictions is the one you cause to yourself, right? In Portuguese, we love saying tempestade no copo d'água, right? A storm in a glass of water. So it's the afflictions that you cause to yourself, and having gratitude. What this chapter is actually saying is for you to pretty much stop on your day and having your gratitude. Just do it when you wake up. Be grateful for the rain, for the sun, for your life, for your legs, for your roof, for your food. Be grateful for being in this country. Be grateful for your family being good or someone achieving something. The more you do that, the more you focus on the gratitude, the more you focus on understanding that some things you cannot change, so you shouldn't go crazy about it, then the higher will be your vibration, the more positive your life will be, and the better connection you have. So there we have one affliction that it's here so we can go through our trials and tribulations and understand our life, and one that we can actually minimize by avoid a little bit with gratitude, right? And understanding.
Yeah, I selected 3 points that I think it's important. And one is how to pray. Okay, ask for your moral improvement. I think it's one of the most important point. Ask for your betterment and ask for strength not to fail again and courage to make a reparation. I think there are 3 important points. And besides this, to recognize and gratitude of about everything that happens with us, because everything has a reason, and sometimes we don't understand. But if we are open and if we are connected with God, we should thanks for all for everything that happens and for the opportunity.
Good. I feel sometimes praying is like therapy. Sometimes we need to say things out loud so we understand better, so we understand, so we believe. And it's mainly, it's not so much that you need to hear someone tell you the solution, but you need to repeat it or
Verbalize.
get it verbalized, to get it organized in your mind, or to accept it in your heart. So I feel praying is a lot of that. Sometimes saying it out loud makes it real and makes you accept better. And obviously it has to do with the vibration, the way it's much easier to turn around the way we are vibrating if we are being very negative, and you stop, have a breather, and focus on something other than all that nervous energy around you, you are probably gonna be able to turn around much easier than being in the middle of the hurricane there. So it's praying really for God or for us. Maybe we read just one time because it's just a small part. So we'll read this last one too. Does anyone else want to read?
The joy of prayer. Come, you who wish to believe. The heavenly spirits make haste to proclaim great things to you. God, my children, open his treasures to distribute their benefits to you, all his believers. If you only knew how good for the heart faith is, and how it leads the soul to repentance and prayer. How touching are the words that leave the lips at the time of one prays. Prayer is a divine mist that destroys the highest heat of the passions, the firstborn daughter of faith. It leads us to the pathway that takes us to God. In introspection and solitude, you are with God. No more mysteries for you, because he unveils himself to you. O apostles of thought, life is before you. Your soul detaches itself from matter and launches itself onto those infinite and ethereal worlds that poor human beings fail to acknowledge. Press onward along the pathways of prayer, and you will hear the voices of angels. What a harmony! No longer the confused noises and shrill sounds of the earth, but the lyres lighters of angels, archangels, and the sweet, soft voices of the seraphim, lighter than the morning breezes when they play among the leaves of your great forests. Among us, what the lights you shall walk. Your language cannot describe such bliss. It enters through all your pores, so alive and refreshing is the spring from which you drink through prayer. Sweet voices and earthy fragrances that the soul hears and breathes when it launches itself onto those unknown and inhabited realms through prayer. Without the confusion of carnal desires, all aspirations are divine. And you too pray as Christ did, carrying his cross to Golgotha, to Calvary. Carry your cross, and you will feel the sweet emotions that passed through his soul, even as he was carrying the infamous cross. He was going to die, but in order to live the heavenly life in the dwelling of his Father. St. Augustine, Paris, 1861.
You get to talk first now, so Togo will go last.
Okay. I will just talk about 2 points and but yeah, I think this is a really good message. And one thing that I like is the way that it was written, like calling us to do something, calling us to do some action. So what we need to do, I think, instead of like just describing, is in a, how can I say, I don't know Portuguese or syntax to explain that, but the difference on the approach is not like a passive approach, it's more like active approach. So it's made, at least when I was reading, it makes me feel I have to go and do this, or I have to go and move. I cannot stay here without doing anything. And that's what I'm saying. And the focus is always faith, prayer, and how those two things can change us, can move us the way that we are at the moment and transform. I think that's the best word. And then it's describe a little bit of like the things that prayer can bring to us that tells us a little bit of like the sound, the breath, the scent, and everything that can bring with prayer. But it's even in the end, I think it says that there is no way for our language to describe those such feelings. So they are trying to use the, I think the, how can I say, like a poem, and trying to use words that there is no real meaning, but because they are like so abstract, we can try to imagine what they are, or how those feelings can translate to like us here incarnated in Earth. And yeah, and the message is here: press onward. You cannot stop. Just keep moving. We are, like we said before, in a world of trials and expiations. We cannot stay in our comfort zone. If everything is good, it's because we are in a time that we have to prepare, because the storm is always going to come. There is no way to avoid that, so we're always going to go and face those trials and expiations, and we just always have to have faith, and this will help us keep moving on, and without resignation and without revolting against God, and so on.
We go down. Nadia?
Hello.
Yeah, I just marked some points. Pray lead us to the pathway to take us to God, and about the mood, the introspection and solitude you are with God. No more mystery for you, because you are unveil Himself to you. So whenever you are with yourself in solitude and praying, you connected directly to God, and there's no mystery, nothing that prevents you to understand yourself, to feel your situation, and reflect and think in your future, your next steps. That's
Um, before we start to read this one, I was gonna quote Saint Augustine, and then I was like, oh, I talked too much already. And then he came next, I was like, oh, okay,
Well,
no, no, do that. It's just a really good thing. It's a very Saint Augustine that this love for prayer and joy. Another really important thing that he mentions and we practice a lot towards our reforma íntima, our inner transformation about our morals, is that it's really good at the end of your day for you to do an assessment about your day. You know, just like you can do a morning prayer full of gratitude. At the end of the day, make another one. Think about your day. Think about things that you could have changed, things you could have done differently, and that will definitely help you reflect. It talks about the joy of prayer. I guarantee for you, if you do a little trial, do a little 10 days, having a prayer every day. It won't take you more than 5 minutes unless you want to. You will see how you feel good, you know, after a meeting like this, or after, I don't know, being involved in a spiritual meeting with Mini on in English, in Portuguese, a karakia, whatever you want to do it, you always feel good about it. You always feel good about yourself. Or even after having a really good conversation with someone. That's what it is that practice every single day. Don't you feel good when you have a good conversation with someone and the person inspires you? Have one with God. Have one with yourself. One thing that we learned a lot from COVID is that the best relationship we should look after is the one between you and yourself. And sometimes you can be alone and there's nothing else to do, right? So I think that joy comes from probably getting the habit of understanding how good you feel after. How good you feel after you leave here. You're like, oh, I feel relaxed, I feel inspired. You can do that literally every single day.
if you're doing right.
If you're doing right. If it's not working, please come here. We can talk to you. But yeah.
I feel, like Andrea was saying, that this Saint Augustine, I feel these messages are mostly like that, right? Calling us to action. And like Togo was saying about the self-exam and just being working on yourself. This is something that we could use for every single meeting we have. We could quote that because it's always going to come to the work that you do on yourself, how we are. And this is the definition of being a spiritist, right? The work that we're doing to improve, to be, to evolve, to be better people, better spirits. So I feel this message is very much like him, to just call to action and say that everybody can do it, and that is really up to us, and that this wonderful feeling, this majestic situation that he describes, this all these angelical words that he uses, we can all feel it, we can all achieve if we keep working on it. And as I was reading, I was thinking that the way he talks on the course of the messages on through the course of the gospel on his messages, he's always talking about action. He's always talking how we live what we study, and this is how we're gonna achieve those feelings. This is how we're gonna be able to live in prayer. This is how we're gonna be able to feel that way and smell those smells and see those beautiful things all the time. Only if we live it all the time. It doesn't. It's not enough that we get to the end of the day or early in the morning. This is how we start because we need to baby steps, right? We're not gonna achieve that level of evolution from one day to the other, just waiting for someone to come and upload on us all the good things. We need to work towards at that stage. But if we don't leave what we study, if we don't leave what we pray for, it's just never going to happen because we won't allow it. So part of that action that he calls is not just like act on and go pray. Is actually live what you're praying for, make it happen. Before I moved to New Zealand, just the week before I come to New Zealand, we were doing our cultural lá, so our prayer at home, and the message in the book was about prayer occupation. So if you, and the message said, if you have, if there's something that is worrying you, there's only two paths you should take. Either you can sort it and you leave it to God, you trust God, or you work and sort it out. Because there is a solution and it's up to you. So you work and you sort it out, go to work, stop worrying, just go and sort it, or you leave it in the hands of God. God is capable and will sort it. So again, you stop worrying. So either you sort it out or you stop worrying because you can't do anything about it and you know God will take care of it. So this is living the prayer, right? It's knowing that you are in contact with God, you understand what's going on, and believe that whatever happens is the best for us. So there's no need to pray for help, for such and such to happen, but there is the need to stay connected, to stay in touch, to keep helping other people, to keep doing charity, to maintain yourself on that level of vibration that the help can come, that we can listen to the friendly spirituality, that we can listen to our guides, that we can live the way we hope things will turn out.
My niece not here to quote Disney, so I will do it.
So we go to the Spirit's book now.
Yeah, share the last screen.
So we are on chapter, is it part 2? What is the chapter? 9? Am I right?
9.
9, yes.
The intervention of spirits in the corporeal worlds.
We, like Toggle said at the beginning, we've been in this chapter for a long time.
For a very long time.
Probably because we need it.
Just a long chapter.
Does anyone remember? Well, you just read it when we read last week. So
Yeah, I downloaded it just like that. We talk about it. We have been talking about it for a couple of months now, how the spirits actually influence us and how they can actually influence way more than what we expect them to do it, and how they can help us, how our spiritual guides can connect with us, how can the connection between us and our spirit guide can actually be a little bit stretched depending on the vibration that we have, and the vibrations that we have will also allow us to connect to a certain type of spirit. So if you have a very bad vibration, if you cultivate the bad habits or the bad actions, you connect with the bad ones, and so on. So that's why just we talk about prayer, how is important for you to pray so you connect with the good ones. Last week we talked about it, how spirits can be around us and can also be around cities or events or really big group of people. How they feel the how they feel the affinity for us, but they also will feel the affinity for anything that we do collectively. And in fact, collective is a very important topic, because we all grow as a collective, we all grow together. Our world only changes from one to another based on the collective, so it's never an individual act. So it's really important to remember that.
Good. A simple word. So we're gonna read the first 3 questions and then we'll stop for comments, because then it changes the topic a little bit. So this topic that we are, it was a long time ago. It's still about guardian angels, protector, familiar or sympathetic spirits. Can you start on it, please?
Question 519. Do groups of individuals, such as societies, cities, and nations, have their own special protected spirits? Yes, because such groups are collective individualities. that are headed towards a common objective and therefore have the need of a higher direction.
Are the protector spirits of groups of a more advanced nature than those who are linked to individuals? Everything is related to the degree of advancement, whether of groups or of individuals. Guilherme is a really long one, so if you get tired in the middle, you let us know and we'll take over.
Pass the torch.
Part 21. May certain spirits help the arts to progress by watching over those involved in them. There are special protector spirits who assist those who invoke them and whom they deem worth. But what could you expect them to do for those who deem themselves to something which in fact they are not? They cannot make the blind see or the deaf hear. The ancient made special deities of such spirits. The muses were the allegorical personification of the protector spirits of the arts and sciences, just as the family protector spirits were designated by the names of Lares and Penates. Among mothers and the arts and various industries, cities, and countries also have their own patrons or protectors who are higher order spirits but under other names. Since all individuals have their own sympathetic spirits, it does follows that in all collective groups, the overall quality of the sympathetic spirits corresponding to the overall quality of the individual composing them. And that